Hello, everybody. This is a Sage of Calidor. Sorry, it's been a while. Busy life, busy life. But anyway, it's nice to see you again. Today we are going to be talking about the Great Crusades. And before you guys throw a fit, I'm not talking about the Crusades in the Holy Land. I'm talking about the Grand Crusades of Araby between the Warhammer Kingdom of Bretonia and the human Caliphate Kingdoms of Araby. Take a look at this map of the Warhammer world. Araby is right here. This was where the crusade ended. This is Estalia. This was where the crusade started because the Arabians invaded Estalia. Bretonia launched the crusade, and that is where we're going to start. Why did the crusade start? Well, it started with this vizier wizard guy named Jafar overthrew the Sultan and became Sultan of Araby. He made alliances with Skaven, and not just any Skaven, but the Skaven assassin clan, whose name is Irshelden or something. Please tell me its correct pronunciation in the comments below. But this guy is so nasty, he actually made agreements with the Skaven. And it eventually worked out too well until his Skaven allies gave him an idea that the Estalians were trying to invade his territory. The Estalians weren't a united nation. They were a divided nation. Picture the Spanish kingdoms around the Reconquista. And shortly after the Reconquista, like Aragon, Castile, you could throw in Portugal. But anyway, in hindsight, Jafar was a power-hungry individual, so I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to invade Estalia anyway. I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't see any reason how a divided Estalia, who has a tendency to fight each other sometimes, would actually be a threat. But anyway, on with the story. So, Jafar attacked Estalia. They plundered, they looted, and they enslaved thousands of Estalians. Word reached the king of Bretonia, and he was horrified at the tales of enslavement, torture, and slaughter of the Estalians. Some say he was concerned Bretonia could be next, but it really isn't too hard to think you can be both motivated by compassion and by fear that your people will be targeted next, and by compassion, I meant compassion for others. Well, anyway, this king is called King Louis the Righteous, and he called for a grand crusade to liberate Estalia. He was joined by the various knightly orders of the empire. To all of you Empire Knightly Order fans, this is important because a lot of well-known knightly orders came to be during the Crusades. Well, anyway, the Crusade started with an attack on Estalia to liberate it. They drove the Arabian army back to a city, to their greatest stronghold, whose name escaped me right now, but they later followed Jafar, who fled when the battle turned against him, to Araby. There, the Crusaders fought Jafar's army for years, winning battle after battle after battle. And honestly, Jafar was so disliked that a lot of Arabians actually fought alongside the Crusaders or just faded into the desert, watching and waiting to see on how things go. Well, at the final battle, where the Crusaders were winning, Jafar tried to flee. He was speared by a Bretonian lance, and thus ended the crusade. Jafar was a dark sorcerer, so before the Crusaders left, they ensured all the slaves were rescued, and all of the dark works, such as tomes of chaos and dark magic, were destroyed. But the Bretonians returned with great honors. The empire remained for a little bit, but they gained a lot of knightly orders in response to this adventure. One of these started in one battle in Astalia, where some knights were fighting against an Arabian army right by the steps of the temple of Merimita, the goddess of war, normally worshipped by people of Astalia and Telia. But they were losing. These Empire Crusader knights were losing. But the statue of Merimita collapsed and fell on top of the Arabian commander, killing him and terrifying the rest of the Arabian forces, and these knights won the battle. In gratitude for the goddess's protection, these knights became the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and a creed of this knightly order was to worship this goddess of war instead of Ulrich and Sigmar. Another well-known knightly order was the Knights Panther, and they were attracted to all of these various wealth and these panther cloaks that they created a knightly order based on them. Unlike a lot of the other knightly orders based on a god or a goddess, in the case of the Knights of the Blazing Sun, this knightly order is secular and it's devoted to exterminating chaos. But one particular knightly order of the Empire gained prominence in this period: the Black Guard, or the Black Knights of More. They've existed before the Empire got involved in the Great Crusade, but they still joined in. And they didn't have a reason to, because they worship the god of More, the god of death. So they didn't really have any reason to concern themselves with the affairs of the living. But they went to Araby instead, and they didn't disclose their reasons because the Knights of More have this code of conduct where they stay silent when on duty. And this silent demeanor actually scared the Arabian soldiers, because they thought the Black Guard were actually spirits of the people they killed and tortured. After the crusade, the Black Guard revealed their true purpose. You see, the real target for the Black Knights of More was in fact the land of the dead, where they attacked and raided the pyramids and tombs of the Tomb Kings. And it wouldn't take a genius to know who would likely get pretty ticked off with there. I wouldn't be surprised if Cetra to this day is planning on what to do with the Knights of Moor and what sort of horrible revenge he will do to them for barging into his tombs, stealing his golden treasure, and then leaving it. The Bretonians were influenced in a different way, and it had to do with the tragic tale of the Duke of Aquitaine. The Duke of Aquitaine was a king's brother, and he was known as the El Sif, or the Northern Sword, for his ferocity and prowess in battle. El Sif was a term his Arabian enemies gave to him. But, ironically, he was killed by assassins from his own people, his own rivals who are jealous of his ability. But as he lay dying, he wasn't going down without a fight, but as he lay dying, Avarosh, the leader of the Blood Dragons, came to him and, impressed by his ability, granted him vampirism, and thus he became the Red Duke of Aquitaine. I'm aware there's some discrepancies on why the Red Duke appears in Mausoleum in the Warhammer Total War game. If this video gets 12 likes, I'll stop what I'm doing and do a video trying to explain it. Well, anyway, thank you for your time and have a great